Hi, I'm Danielle from the SWEENEY Agency, and I'm very pleased to welcome Dr. Gary Bradt to join us today in conversation. Dr. Gary Bradt has a unique background and perspective. He is a one-of-a-kind speaker on emotional intelligence, change, and leadership. He's also a licensed clinical psychologist, so he shares his background from neuroscience and positive psychology, which helps not only leaders, but people at every level adapt to change and look at it with a positive perspective. So Gary, thank you so much for joining me today.
My absolute pleasure. Thanks for asking me to participate.
Now, Gary, one of the things we're looking at is we've had a really big year. Lots has changed this year. So what do you think organizations and leaders need to be focusing on going into 2021 to make that year as successful as possible?
I got two answers to that, or two pieces to my answer, if you will, Danielle. One is so many organizations, because when I'm not speaking, I'm also consulting with organizations, and I've been doing that for a long time. And so many organizations say people are our most important asset, but they don't really act that way. Now, with everything we've gone through, you need to act that way. The first thing you need to do for 2021 is make sure that you're taking care of your folks. What does that mean? It means, I got a principle that says you have to have kind of a human connection before you jump right to the business transaction. So you and I, before we shot this video, we were talking a little bit. We're making a little bit of a connection. We didn't just jump in and start shooting the video. We were establishing a relationship and a rapport, and you need to do that with your people. Now, there's some leaders that are natural at that, and they do a very good job with that. Other leaders, not so much, and then you're going to have to work at it a little bit. But people are, they got so many issues that they didn't have before. Working from home is great, but then the kids come running in, the dogs barking, and you never get any sleep, all that kind of stuff. So that's number one. Take care of your people, have that human connection, then the business transaction. Number two, from a business perspective, one of my fundamental principles is that change always creates opportunities. And the organizations who adapt best to change are saying, okay, we didn't ask for this change, perhaps. It's been pretty hard, perhaps, but there's got to be an opportunity here. And one of my very quick stories that I tell is about a company that it got started back in the 1980s, and it was like a high-end stereo store, and they sold TVs and stereos, and a big tornado came through and pretty much wiped them out, wiped out their largest, most popular store, and they're in trouble. Well, that's kind of like we've all been through a virtual tornado in 2020. And what this company did is 6 days after the tornado hit, they had a tornado sale where they discounted their stuff and they let people come in and just pick it off the shelves, and they had a lot of fun, and they put on the back of their shirt a slogan that said, "Come on in and get your Best Buy." And today, Best Buy is one of the largest, most successful electronics retailers in the world, and it's one of the very few who is competing successfully with Amazon. And they got their start when they were nearly wiped out by a tornado, because they didn't have the model they have now. They found it by adapting to that tornado.
So that change, that innovation, do you see that as coming out for a lot of organizations?
Oh my goodness, it's interesting. I'm asking a lot of business folks. I go on LinkedIn and I have conversations, and I say, hey, I believe change creates opportunity. What opportunities have you seen? And I get two kinds of answers, and luckily most of them fall into this way. Well, at first it was really, really hard and we weren't quite sure what we're going to do. But then we realized, hey, this has created an opportunity. We can rearrange this. We can do this. We can set up a business a little bit differently. We can reach our markets differently. Our clients, our customers have different needs, and we can meet those in some ways better than before. Good example from our industry, Danielle. One of the very first times I did a virtual presentation early on in this thing, I actually had two. One of them was for a global audience. It was a UK-based company, and we had audience literally kind of all over the world. And my other client was in rural Midwest of America, and it was like a conference room of around 25 people sitting around a conference table. I did both presentations the same day.
Wow.
And I didn't leave home. And that's an opportunity that we had before. And I was able to do Q&A with people all around the world, and I was able to do Q&A with people sitting there in a conference room in Ohio. And I really had that opportunity to make a connection with more people than I ever could have before. So take care of your people, and then look for the opportunity, and don't follow the crowd. You want to be the ones who are out there. when you're adapting to change in 2021, you got to be willing to take a little bit of a chance. You know, sometimes when we get scared, we want to hunker down, and those are the other kind of responses I get on LinkedIn. Some people's like, oh God, this has just been awful, and I don't know, my business has gone away, you know, versus I had another guy, he said, Gary, I had 3 businesses before COVID. I owned 3 businesses. They all got wiped out. I had some time on my hands, so I went back to my artwork, which I always loved, but I kind of put it to the side. I rediscovered how much I love it. And now I'm turning it into a business. And Gary, there's a guy just write me on LinkedIn. He goes, Gary, I've never been happier. That's kind of the mindset, whether you're a small entrepreneur, solo entrepreneur, or you're a large Fortune 100, Fortune 5, whatever. That's how leaders think in times of change.